Hey again, it's Dusty Thunder, and I have a classic Am I the Astronaut story for you this time. This one is Am I the Thunderhole for having a better wedding than my sister-in-law? Sibling rivalry, here we come. I'm a casual Reddit browser, but have never engaged the community before because I never thought something this wild would happen. But here we are. I'm 29 female from a middle-class family and have an older brother, 35 female. Let's call him Adrian. He's a self-taught software engineer and makes pretty good money. A little over 1 year ago, he married his girlfriend, 28 female, of 6 years. Let's call her Heather. No, it just doesn't hit the same. She's not a bad person, but I think she's a little bit spoiled. She's the type that loves to brag about all the expensive stuff her husband bought her, and their wedding was pretty extravagant. She still loves to talk about how it was the most amazing wedding she's ever been to. My brother's kind of wrapped around her finger, but it never really mattered until now. I met my fiance, 36 male, about 4 years ago. It was a business event and he owns a decently sized and very successful company. So saying that, he's extremely wealthy. Since he grew up less than, he loves to spend his money on things him and his family could only dream about before. One of those things is, of course, our wedding. He wants to go all out and hired a somewhat well-known wedding planner to arrange everything. Honestly, I'm pretty excited. I never dreamed of such a luxurious wedding, but now that it's happening, it feels like I'm living some wild dream I never even dared to have, like textbook fairy tale. Recently, I was at a family gathering and was hanging out in the living room with my mom and Heather doing girl talk. My mom started asking me how the planning was going, and when I told her about everything we were doing, I could see Heather go pale and then extremely red in the face. She was quiet for the rest of the night. The next day, Adrian called me and said that Heather was extremely upset and felt like I was trying to one-up her wedding. She said I was trying to upstage her because I never expressed desire for a fancy wedding before. Okay. All right. I gotta hold my comments. Until the end of the story, but I got shit to say. He asked me if we could tone it down so it doesn't exceed the budget they had for their own wedding. I laughed because honestly, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and then I naturally said no. He sounded upset and hung up. A few hours later, Heather calls and she starts yelling at me, repeating mostly the same stuff, saying she knew I was always jealous of her and I'm only with my fiance because he's rich and I want to rub it in her face. That made me snap and I said, if you're that obsessed with money, maybe you should have married someone else instead of my brother. If anyone's jealous of someone, it's you. She screamed at me and started crying before she hung up. Now Adrian is angry and calling me an asshole for insinuating that she shouldn't have married him, and my parents think I was too harsh on her when I know she's always been material, and are asking me to lower our wedding budget to appease her. I don't want to. My fiance definitely doesn't want to, but I don't know if that makes me an asshole or not. How self-absorbed do you have to be to think that just because someone else is having a fancy wedding, they're doing it just because they want to piss you off? Just because they want to one-up you? How? Oh my God. This level of ignorance is astounding. And how big of a shit human being do you have to be like, can you tone it down? Because we really don't want you to outdo ours. There are several problems here. Obviously, there's material, but then there's being so material that you can't be outdone without taking it personally. But if that's the case, how does she look at anything? How does she look at anything in the world? How does she scroll Instagram and not see a wedding that's better than hers was and be butthurt about it? Does she just get butthurt anytime she sees something better than what she has? Because if that's the case, either she's seeking out to be offended, which a lot of people do. A lot of people seek out being offended. People who seek pain always find it. People who seek to be offended will always be offended. This gal here is offended because somebody's having a bigger wedding than her. I mean, there are obviously spoiled little shits on this planet, but this is a whole new level. This is like some kind of reality TV show in LA where it's like the Richie Rich girls. It's like the Beverly Hills girls getting shitty with each other because one of them is planning a wedding that's slightly better than what she had, or it's going to cost more money. To be so material and self-absorbed that you think someone else's wedding has anything to do with you makes me want to just throw shit. Her husband is hilarious here. So OP's brother, of course he called. Of course he got pissed off because he has to deal with Heather. And Heather, being as material as she is, and her world is going to get destroyed if someone has a wedding that's more expensive than hers. Of course, he's advocating for them to lower the budget because he doesn't want to deal with it. He's already probably put himself in a lifetime of debt to try to give her what he's given her to this point. If someone else goes and outdoes it, especially someone in their family, that's just going to get much worse for him. I feel like he's an asshole here, but he's an asshole here because he's thinking about self-preservation and what he's going to have to deal with. She, Heather, is a whole new flavor of asshole. Are there flavors of asshole? Apparently so, because this one's spoiled rotten. It's turnt. And as Eloise Smith says, compromise. Instead of lowering the budget, I would lower the guest list by 2. Uninvite sister-in-law and brother. If there is someone who is going to likely, not even potentially, but likely shit on your day, your wedding day, they've got to get axed from the guest list. They have to. She's going to make a scene. I don't think she can help herself. I really don't think she has any self-control here because during the conversation, she was turning red-faced and getting pissed off about it and then went home and couldn't help herself, had to call and be shitty. So Minister's going to be up there like, if anyone has any reason why these two shall not be wed, please speak now or forever hold your peace. Yes, I know these two shouldn't be getting married because I know the only reason they're getting married in this fancy, overpriced wedding is because they want to outdo me. I don't even think they like each other. They're just doing this to try to outdo me. Yes, Heather, because everyone's life benchmark is outdoing you. Get over yourself, you twit.